Okay, now I'm going to do number 2 on the review worksheet. Sorry I didn't do number 1 as a video. If you need help on number 1, come back and see me. Number 2, a projectile is fired at 105 meters per second at an angle of 25 degrees. What are the component velocities of the projectile? Meaning, if this is 105 and this is 25, I want to know what v sub x naught and v sub y naught are. Those are component velocities. And this is where our trig comes in. If you're not good at trig, you can just remember that v sub y naught is going to be v sine theta, which in this case is 105 times the sine of 25. And Vx naught is going to be V cosine theta, which is 105 cosine of 25. And just so I don't have to grab my calculator, what does the vertical component work out to be? 44.375 meters per second. And the horizontal then? 95.162 meters per second. And that's finding the component velocities. Part B. What is the time for the projectile to reach the peak of the trajectory? Which velocity component, vertical or horizontal, helps us determine the time to the peak? The vertical. So looking at our equation sheet, I want to know time. Do I know acceleration? I do. It's gravity. Do I know the initial vertical velocity? I do. Do I know the final vertical velocity? What is it? It is 0. So that equation will work. Question on why that equation? Just go ahead, Bree. Because it's going to the peak. What is the vertical component of velocity at peak? For that instant, it's 0. So my equation is going to be v sub f equals v naught plus, I'm going to put g there. This is 0. This is 44.375 plus negative 9.8 times t. And t is going to equal negative 44.375 over negative 9.8. And that t peak is, Cami, 4 point what? 4.528 seconds. Time to peak. Yes, you can. But this is why that works, because that's 0. This would come over here, you'd divide by gravity, yes. Yes, that would work. Ms. Hoops. Now it's time to the peak. Got to multiply it by 2 to get total time. Right? Yeah, right? Let's move on and see if it's clarified in a further part of this question. Part C, what is the maximum height of the projectile? Again, back to our formula sheet. Maximum height, what letter on here is going to represent our height? D. There's no D in the first equation, that's not going to work. We want to know D, we know V naught, we know V final. First of all, what is the maximum height? Is that a vertical measurement or a horizontal measurement? Vertical. So what velocities am I going to use? Vertical velocities. So would this one work? It would. I'd have to use a calculated value, but that would work. Would this one work? Actually, and any of these equations would work, wouldn't they? Any of these 3 equations would work. Which one do you want to use? Want to use the last one? Sure, we'll use the last one. And the last one is v sub f squared equals v naught squared plus 2ad. Or I'm going to change the a to a g. Sorry about that. Now, what am I solving for? D. What is this? 0. So I'm going to get to rearrange this equation. D is going to equal the opposite of V naught squared over 2G. Agree? I bring this over here, divide by 2G. Now I'm going to plug my numbers in. What is my initial vertical velocity? What did we come up with? 44.375? Divided by 2 times negative 9.8. Notice the negatives will work themselves out. And I get 44.375 squared divided by 2 divided by 9.8. 100, approximately 100 meters. Same formula to find the vertex. Oh, boy, the opposite of B over 2A? Yeah, interesting. Great connection she just made. She connected this back to how you find the vertex of a parabola. X equals the opposite of B over 2A. Remember that little equation? Very good, Drew. Yeah, very awesome. Awesome. Nice. Very cool. What is the total time in the air? Well, T total, Miss Hoops, is going to equal 2 times T peak, right? Has to. Which is 2 times, how many seconds did we have there? 4 point, what? 4.528, which then is going to equal 9.156, 056. Very good. Last question. How far away does the projectile land? Is that a vertical question or a horizontal question? Horizontal. That we just use this equation where we're solving for D. D equals V sub x times T. What was our V sub x? 95 something? 95.162 times T total, 9.056. And what does that equal? 862.2 meters. Very good. Nice work. Good connections.